Decrypted Data and Ether are a couple of new currencies added to Destiny 2 this season, and you are going to be wanting to gather as much as possible of these currencies to upgrade the Splicer Servitor in the H.E.L.M for the upgrade bonuses, the mods, and ultimately more loot from the override activity. Well, today I'm going to look into both currencies plus how to get them fast so you can quickly get the most loot possible. But if you're new around here or find this useful, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below for all the latest Destiny 2 content and turn on notifications by hitting that bell. Well, in Season of the Splicer, we've got a new 6-person activity introduced called Override. And to get the new seasonal loot, we're going to need to craft key codes to allow us to open the chest at the end. And to be able to craft key codes, we're going to need Ether, and once we open the chests at the end of the Override activity, we'll also get some decrypted data as a reward, which we're going to use on the Splicer Servitor in the H.E.L.M to allow us to gather the upgrades. So this is the key gameplay loop in Season of the Splicer, and upgrading the Splicer Servitor is going to increase our capacity for gathering currencies, as well as offering more bonuses and even more loot from the end of the Override activity. The same currency is also used to focus Umbral engrams this season. However, I would prioritise upgrading the Splicer Servitor in the H.E.L.M before focusing on any Umbral engrams, as the benefits here definitely outweigh the focusing options. So once you've fully upgraded the Splicer Servitor, then I would focus Umbral engrams. Well, let's have a look at both of the currencies in turn, and first of all, let's start out with how to get Ether. Well, gathering Ether is done by playing activities in Season of the Splicer, like Strikes, Crucible and Gambit matches. So before you start, the best thing to do is check out the Splicer Gauntlet, and you'll notice that there's a daily bonus on there, meaning certain activities are going to offer significant bonuses for gathering Ether. So check out the Gauntlet in your Quest tab and see what's on offer on that day. So whether you're doing Strikes, Crucible or Gambit, then you're going to get a drop of Ether at the end, and be sure to check out your Splicer Gauntlet and make sure you aren't maxed out on your Ether. At the end of the activity, you're going to get a drop of about 50 Ether. However, if you're running the daily bonus activity, then you're going to get about 75. So check out the text on the Splicer Gauntlet, and it says complete playlist activities, public events and defeat combatants anywhere in the system to gather Ether, and bonus Ether can be obtained by, and then you've got a daily objective. So at the time of making this guide, my daily objective was complete strikes, so you get a nice bunch of Ether when you finish a strike, but this rotates between Strikes, Crucible and Gambit each day, so make sure to check out the Splicer Gauntlet. And the Splicer Gauntlet also makes note of defeating combatants, so when you're running through activities, you want to make sure you're killing as many enemies as possible. So rather than running through an activity as fast as you can, try to systematically take out everything. So Warmind cell builds are really good with this, so you can use the Ikelos weapons or the 7th Seraph weapons in your energy and your kinetic slots, and they're going to be creating Warmind cells which you can then explode, helping you kill as many things as possible. And make sure to check out Ada1 in the tower, because she sells daily mods, and that could work really well with generating Warmind cells. So running the daily objective is really good, but if you're looking for a quick and efficient way of gathering Ether, then public events are the best bet for this. So these are much quicker than the playlist activities like Strikes, Crucible and Gambit. So you get 10 Ether for a regular public event and 20 Ether for a heroic public event. So check out the map on each location to see where the public events are spawning, and try to trigger the heroic mode whenever possible when you're doing a public event. So if you can get a few friends together, then this is the best way. Or you could try it on an LFG website like Bungie's app or Destiny Tracker, and when you're making a post, just shout out you want to be doing heroic public events. So public events are fast, but you can also exploit a long-known issue with public events called double dipping. So for example, if you finish the public event nice and fast and load back into the zone, you have a chance of spawning into the public event in another instance. And sometimes you can gather the loot chest again, meaning you can double the loot and also double your chances for even more Ether. So to do this, you can either leave the zone on your Sparrow and come back in, or you can load into the zone near the public event and try and get back to that public event as fast as possible and pick up the chest for the second time. So in summary, for gathering Ether, you want to check out the Splicer Gauntlet for the daily bonus, run those activities and grab the Ether bonuses, or you can do public events for efficient Ether gathering. Well, next up, let's have a look at how to get decrypted data. So you're going to need decrypted data to unlock the bonuses and level up the Splicer Servitor in the H.E.L.M, and there's a few locations this season where you can get decrypted data. Well, first of all, at the end of the override activity, there are two chests. You've got the one on the left, that is going to drop regular loot, and the one on the right will drop Splicer loot and also decrypted data. So you're going to need a key code to unlock the chest on the right that contains the decrypted data, so make sure you follow the steps we've already talked about in this guide to gather as much ether as possible to make sure you can then craft that key code. Well, seasonal challenges are another good source of decrypted data, so these can be found in your quest tab, and there's two available this week, one called Hello World and another called Maximum Override. So these two challenges will give you a bunch of decrypted data, and it's likely every week we're going to have a few challenges that give us decrypted data, so it's worth checking out these seasonal challenges each week to give yourself a nice bump of decrypted data. The Season Pass is another good source for decrypted data, so it ranks 2, 12 and 32 as a cache of decrypted data, although this is reserved for the paid track rather than the free track, so it is worth bearing that in mind. So if you've got access to the Season Pass and the paid track, well, this is a really good source of decrypted data. Finally, there is a loot goblin in the override activity who's going to drop a bunch of decrypted data. So when you're at the boss, he's a rare spawn and he definitely doesn't show up all the time, but when he does and you kill him, you get a drop of 30 decrypted data. So DMG from Bungie said it's random, so it's worth keeping an eye out for this guy, and if you kill it, you get a nice drop of extra decrypted data. As far as I know, there's no way to make this thing spawn, it's purely down to a random chance. So whenever you're in the override activity, keep your eye out when you're fighting the boss, and it is a goblin with a really big yellow health bar, and it is quite tanky, but just persevere with it, take it down and get that decrypted data. So once you've got all the decrypted data, go back to the Splicer Servitor in the H.E.L.M, and you can use this to upgrade the loot table there. So personally, I've been prioritising the memory expansion upgrades, which allow for the ETH capacity to be increased by 50, and also the key code capacity to be increased too. And I also upgraded the override efficiency, as this leads to more seasonal loot and focused umbral engrams. Ultimately, you want to upgrade the Splicer Servitor loot table completely and as fast as possible, and the choices you make along the way are entirely up to you. For me, getting more ether capacity and key codes plus the loot was the most important thing, so I prioritised these nodes on the upgrade table. So in summary, for gathering decrypted data, you want to open the Conflux chest on the right hand side at the end of the override activity, check out the seasonal challenges each week and look out for the ones with decrypted data and do them. So upgrade the paid track on the Season Pass and you'll get caches of decrypted data at ranks 2, 12 and 32, and also you can find the loot goblin near the override activity boss. Well, let me know down in the comments about how you get ether and decrypted data and share your tactics with the community. Well, that is it for this guide for how to get ether and decrypted data in Season of the Splicer, and as always, thank you so much for watching. For more Destiny 2 content like this, hit that subscribe button down below and subscribe to This Week in Video Games. If you want to join the community, check out the Discord link in the description, or you can follow me on Twitter at TWIVG Podcast. If you enjoyed this video and found it useful, liking and sharing the video would really help me out. Otherwise, check out the other videos on the channel. Thanks again. See you soon.